This is where MAGA comes to talk. Well. Okay, lots has happened since yesterday, and I'm going to cover a lot of it on the morning show today in about a little less than 90 minutes. And I'm going to run some of it by you now. What I'm going to lead with today is the interview with Bret Baier with Elon Musk and the Doge team, which was just blew me away. It was like the best interview I've seen that was not a Trump interview in years. Not just Bret Baier or Fox, but in general, for any of the news programming. That was like the best interview ever. So I'm going to talk about that in some more detail at 6 a.m. Eastern time, or as we call it here in Mar-a-Lago time, because that just blew me away. I was so impressed with the Doge interview, so I want to talk about that. But yesterday, and I think that Doge interview is the lead story of today. I hope you all saw it, and if you have not, hopefully you get a chance to watch it before I go on the air, because I'm going to talk about that and take your calls. Plus, it's open phones today, open MAGA Mike Friday, so you can call in about anything you want. But I'm going to start talking about that Doge interview. I can't remember the last time I saw an interview with someone other than Trump that I was so impressed by. And yesterday, surprisingly, Fox had a great day of actual news coverage. So is Fox News back on the Trump train, or is that what Rush used to talk about, an accidental case of journalism yesterday? Because they were embedded with Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and the FBI on that MS-13 arrest, which was great. They had great coverage of that. After the Doge, they covered that all day. On Fox. They covered that all day on Fox, and then it was followed up with after the Doge interview, and then right after the Doge interview at 7, when the Doge interview was over, I was about to turn off the television, and then Pam Bondi came on with Laura Ingraham. So Fox News had a really good day of coverage yesterday with what's really going on, instead of this partisan garbage, never Trumperism that we see so much. I was pretty amazed. Yeah, I was really amazed by all of it. So I'm going to talk a lot about that today, because if Fox did that every day, they would be doing such a great service for the country. And what I mean is, I don't mean being a PR machine for Trump. I mean actually reporting the real news and what's really going on. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe. I'll be live in about an hour and 20 minutes on my main stream, taking live calls. And I'm excited about that Doge team. I was just so impressed with these guys. I mean, the way I would describe those Doge guys, the Doge team, they are true American patriots. I mean, the one guy is one of the founders of Airbnb, and they walk away from these big, lucrative power jobs to do this. It's amazing, and put up with all this crap from the left. I was so impressed with those Doge guys. I can't. I'm trying to think, when was the last time I watched an interview where I was so impressed with people like that. So I packed yesterday for the cruise. I'm about 95% packed. There's a few things I have to pack still, but I'm pretty much 95% packed, maybe a little bit more, because I had a little free time yesterday, so I said I better do it today, so I'm not busy Friday and Saturday rushing around. So today, when I get off the air, I'm going to get a haircut for the cruise. I definitely need a haircut, so I'm going to get a haircut today. I got a new pair of Vans, and that was amazing. That's something else I'm going to talk about. So I got a new pair of checkerboard Vans, which I needed. And checkerboard Vans last me usually about 6 months. So that's it. They're pretty worn out. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. I did have bad hamburger meat, but I was able to avoid getting super sick from it. Got some great advice from some friends and a doctor friend of mine, which I took. I'm not going to tell you guys what it was because it's a little too graphic for the stream. But so I go to the mall to buy. This was an interesting thing. I go to the mall to buy Vans yesterday, and I was a little upset that the Van store was no longer at the mall. The Van store had closed at the mall. And I've been wearing checkerboard Vans since like 87, 86, I don't know. You know. And boy, have they gone up in price. I mean, these were $65. I'm wearing them now, breaking them in a little bit. $65. I mean, it wasn't that long ago they were $50. And, well, I remember when they were like 12, but, you know, whatever. But they've gone up quite a bit in these last 4 years. But anyway, so the Van store was closed down at the mall, which I was upset. So I went to Journeys. You guys know Journeys. It's a young person's shoe store, but they carry Vans. And I was wearing my Make America Great Again hat and the shirt that I wore on the stream yesterday, which was Trump's high school graduation picture. And I'm wearing this same MAGA hat at the mall. And I go into the Journeys store, and the guy working at the Journeys store, he's a young guy, like early 20s, hipster kind of, you know, Gen Z hipster kind of guy. And he's a big MAGA guy. He's got, you know how these guys, they wear, people that work in a lot of these stores, they wear these lanyards that has all this crap on it. He had this lanyard, I had all kinds of crap on it, but it had a MAGA band on it. And I was pretty surprised. And he was telling me how he said I had a customer the other day and they gave me a bunch of shit because of this MAGA band. You know, whatever. You know. So we had a good conversation about Trump while I was buying Vans, and that was it really shows you the great broad appeal that I'm going to talk about this on the show too. You guys get a little sneak peek when I do these shows before. You know, what these streams do is they warm my voice up. So when I go on the air for the radio show at 6, my voice is warmed up. But to see this young guy, Gen Z, total hipster, looks like a hippie, and he's MAGA, and then he told me that he used to be like anti-Trump. He used to he used to hate Trump. And he got red-pilled sometime in these last 4 years, you know, and he was talking about how he was thinking like a victim and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, wow. So I did something I never do. And I don't think I've ever done this in my life is I told him to check out my YouTube channel. I said, check out my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show. You'll love my YouTube channel. And I don't go around doing that. I know a lot of YouTubers do that. I don't normally do that. If I'm out vlogging or something and someone asks me, I'll tell them. But I don't usually do that. And he had me write it down because he couldn't get on the phone in there was no signal inside the store. So maybe he'll be in there today. But it shows you how popular Trump is, that he's able to flip a young hipster Gen Zer like this. And I was pretty amazed with that. That was really nice. It was really nice, you know. And I know that I was reading today, and I knew the media, they're trying to make a big deal out of this Stefanik thing. And Trump, you know, she's going to stay in Congress, and I get the UN ambassador's job, which, of course, is the smart move to do. And I met her at Mar-a-Lago. And Stefanik, I'll tell you a couple things about Stefanik. She is so incredibly short. Which I was surprised how short she was. I didn't quite recognize her at first because she was much shorter than I was expecting. She's about the height of a 9 or 10-year-old child. You know, she's very short. But the other thing about Stefanik that really super impressed me, zero ego. And when I met her, I can't remember what the incident was, but she had done something recently in the news that was pretty high profile. So she was in the news. This was before the election. But she had done something in the news. She was on some show and something happened. So she was like, the it girl that day, and just like no ego. She was just off by herself. And I looked at her. I said, looks familiar. I said, you know what? That's Congresswoman Stefanik. So I went up and talked to her. And I told her, I said, when you went, when Hunter came in with his loser drug buddies into that committee hearing and you tore into him, I said, that was so badass. I said, that was one of the most badass things I've ever seen a member of Congress do when you went after Hunter. It was hilarious. I figured, what the hell, But her staying in Congress obviously is the right thing to do. We barely have a majority. There's been some special elections that, the turnout, our turnout has not been that good in these special elections. And we got a race within majority. So, she's got to stay in the House, at least for now. Just got to. And you know what? That'll probably long-term be better for her, because after her time as UN ambassador, what would she do? She'd have to get a job outside of government probably. Right? I mean, Stefanik's from New York. So, the chances of her becoming a senator are slim. So that's a smart move. And I'm glad there was such a pause in between this and everything that gave him time to work it out with her to withdraw the nomination. Because if she would have dropped out right away, we could be in trouble. So that was a smart move. That was really a smart move. But I like her. I told her, I said that was so badass what you did with Hunter Biden, those loser druggy friends of his. She laughed. She was nice, But that was cool. A lot of times, because when I meet a lot of these people, I don't always talk about it, okay? But I meet a lot of these people, and I got very lucky, because there was when I was at Mar-a-Lago that day, there were a lot of big shots there. So there were so many big shots there that were her equals or even higher in the chain of things, that I guess, she was just off by herself and I went up to her. But when I meet people, when I meet celebrities or important people, you have typically, you just have a few seconds, because if you got a chance to go up to them, and someone's going to notice them and come up and want to be a part of it too and have their moment. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day, a friend of mine, who's in a similar situation where he meets people like this all the time. And I said to him, I don't take pictures with these people. I don't have very few pictures. I'm not very good at selfie. Even when I'm vlogging, I take very few pictures. But when I meet these famous people, whether it's a celebrity or a politician, the reason I don't take pictures with them very often, very rarely, is one major reason. You have this, whether it's a celebrity, and I've met some super famous people, and I've spent time with very, very famous people in private rooms with 3-5 people. I've hung out with famous people. I've been around very famous politicians. So when you're with somebody that's a top politician, Stefanik, Trump, Roger Stone, or movie stars and stuff like I've been with, you've got a tiny little window. So what do? Do you go and take a selfie with them, or do you have a brief little conversation with them? And I tend to go for the conversation, And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he has the same thing where he meets a lot of people that are either politicians or celebrity, and he says he does the same thing, I mean, the picture's fine. I mean, you can get a picture, but if you take a selfie, you reduce your time with the person, because you take a selfie, someone else, at least one, if not multiple people, are going to notice, and then they're going to want to come up, and then you're pushed out of the way for their selfies. And I like to have just a little conversation with them. Typically, that's typically what I do, and sometimes I regret that, like, oh, I wish I had a picture with that person, But I'd rather have that little conversation. That's just me, you know. The I guess it's more important for me to have the conversation and get to say something to them. They say something to you, and what I like the best is when sometimes I'll say something to them that I know people haven't said to them before, which I do sometimes, you know, and you know, but that's just me. I don't know how many of you meet celebrities and think, you know, it's different if you go to like a convention, like if you go to a convention where, you know, an autograph convention or something, that's a different thing. But and sometimes taking a photograph can spoil them. Like I a few times I got to spend quite a bit of time with William Shatner, and you guys know I'm a big Star Trek fan, huge Star Trek fan. And my wife and I have been watching every episode of the original series in order for the past few weeks. We're on season 3 now. And so I'm a big Star Trek fan. And I spent a lot of time with William Shatner. I spent time with him at the airport. I spent time with him in a car. I spent time with him a couple times in a hotel room, you know. And we were in the hotel room one time for a long time. And it was in that time there were, I don't know, with him, maybe 5 or 6 of us in the room. And I didn't get a picture. And I got a picture with him later, but I didn't get a picture then. And that's when I started doing this, because I realized that if I would have taken the picture, it would have taken him out of this cool hangout moment and turned it into just like I'm some fanboy, you know? But, you know, that's just the way it is. So, okay, now another thing I wanted to, I'm not going to talk about this on the air. I'm going to talk to you guys about it. I watched an interview with Brett Cooper yesterday on a podcast on YouTube. I can't remember the name of the guy. He's pretty well known. I can't remember the name of the guy. He's very casual. He sits in a chair in a room. He's very chill. And he's got a CBD line that he was promoting. And I've got nothing against Brett Cooper at all. Okay? I was a fanboy. I am a fanboy, but he was out of that fanboy moment, you know. Well, what had happened was, that particular time, that last time with Shatner, I'll tell you about the Brett Cooper thing. I had met him and spent some time with him several times already. So this time he knew me. That's how I was able to be in the hotel room with him. And what we were doing, we were in there, and he was waiting to go on stage. We were hanging out and talking, and he was signing autographs that people had paid him to do as well. You know, like very expensive autographs on artifact type stuff, not just like photos, like memorabilia. It was amazing. He'd gotten paid a lot of money to sign memorabilia and things, and he was doing that too. And because this was like, I don't know, 3rd, 4th, 5th time I had spent time with him, and this was the longest one, so he knew me, remembered my name and everything else. So I'd gotten out of the fanboy thing, and I didn't want to get back into it. Now this is about I want to talk about this with Brett Cooper, because I have nothing against Brett Cooper. I like Brett Cooper. She's a nice girl. You know, but she did this interview yesterday, and I can't remember who the guy was that did it. I don't know his name. He's well known. I recognize him. He's got a podcast, and he's got a CBD line, and he's very chill, very chill. He looks like he might be a fighter. In fact, I think he is a fighter. He could be. I don't know. But it was an interview that just went up yesterday, so you might be familiar. Why are Loomer and Marjorie Taylor Greene enemies? I'll tell you that in a second. After I get through this, I'll tell you, because I talked to Loomer, and I know women. I don't want you to think I got any beef with Brett Cooper, because I like Brett Cooper. I enjoyed the interview, but a lot of people that interview Brett Cooper, and she doesn't do this, it's the people interviewing her, okay? And I've seen several interviews with her since she left the Daily Wire, and the reason I watched this one is because this was the first interview I'd seen with her since Jeremy Boring got fired from the Daily Wire. Then they lost another top executive this week. And I watched it to hear her thoughts on the Daily Wire, which, didn't get too much of that. But that's why I watched it. But most everyone that interviews Brett Cooper talks to her like it's not 2025, but 1925. 1925, not 2025. And this is what I mean by that. And she does not do this. These are the people that interview her, okay? These people that interview Brett Cooper talk to her about, oh, you've overcome, you've been through so much. How did you overcome this? She hasn't overcome shit. She hasn't struggled any more than a normal person would, you or me. She hasn't been oppressed. She hasn't been discriminated against. She hasn't been victimized. She hasn't been shut out. And they're talking to her like some woke thing here. A lot of conservatives that have interviewed her. So a lot of people don't like the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro. I don't either. And she got out of there. Good for her. But this thing like, oh, you've been through so much. You've overcome so much. You've been through a lot. She hasn't been through shit or overcome jack. And I don't blame her for it because she doesn't talk that way. It's just the people asking her in that kind of, have you noticed? And and I think it does her a disservice, because of her childhood. Everyone's life is tough. Okay. Her life is no tougher than anyone else's. I mean, there's times when, there are people who face oppression and overcome things and have something happen to them. But she wasn't mistreated by the Daily Wire. I don't like the Daily Wire. And that was the thing with Reagan that they did, which was stupid and played a large part, I'm sure, in Jeremy Boring being fired. They didn't do anything to her other than make her famous. And she put her YouTube channel up without any videos, and she got over 1 million subs like almost immediately. That was because of the Daily Wire. And I'm no fan of the Daily Wire, guys. Don't misunderstand me. But she is not a victim. She didn't overcome anything. She didn't go through anything. She got lucky and got a job at the Daily Wire. They made her famous, and she has her own very successful business. Because of the fame that the Daily Wire created for her. And it's not her fault that they do this. It's the interviewers that do, and maybe it's just a trend that they have her on. Maybe it's just their dislike of Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. Maybe they don't know what to ask her about, so they come off that way. But I don't think it helps her too much when they talk to her like she's some kind of victim that overcame something. Now, if it were 1925 and she was a woman getting her own show this big, it'd be a big deal. Everybody's got a story. I got a lot of stuff that goes on in my personal life every day. That I don't share. I got a backstory that I've been through stuff. Okay, that's not fun or pleasant, but it's nothing that you guys haven't gone through, right? Everybody's life is tough for the most part. And everybody has stories, But I don't blame her for that, because I don't think Brett Cooper presents herself that way. It's the people that interview her that do that to her. So that's a different thing. If she were going around pretending like she was victimized, that'd be different, but she's not. So, I'm reluctant even to mention it because I don't want people to think I'm taking a swipe to her. Everyone gets bullied. So what? Was she bullied? I didn't say anything about her being bullied. She's an actress who found her way. I don't buy the one thing, though, she buys about, I took this big risk leaving the Daily Wire. Maybe, but I don't buy her. She said she thought her and her husband might have to move with their mom and sleep on the couch. I don't know if I buy that. Her and her husband own a farm. Farms are expensive. And one thing I've never known is a poor farmer. Okay. And so I don't necessarily buy all that. And her husband has an internet marketing company. So I think a lot of her decision making it was, I'm not saying it wasn't a risk, but maybe it wasn't a risk at all. Maybe she saw the writing on the wall at the Daily Wire that they were having problems, and she got out while she could before she had to be locked in with the new contract. But I think more of what happened by following the Brett Cooper story, just to give, get my perspective's different because because I'm in the business, I see things in a different way than maybe you do that's not in the business. But I think what happened is two things with Brett Cooper at the Daily Wire. I think she saw the writing on the wall that they were failing, okay, which they are, the Daily Wire. She didn't want to get locked in with a new contract with a failing operation because who knows what could happen with that. Her husband had this online marketing company, and she and her husband made a decision that, you know what, you're popular, you're famous now, you're doing these ad reads, and the Daily Wire's getting to keep it. Why don't you go out on your own? I'll get the advertisers, and we'll keep all the money. And that's what happened. That's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, I'm in that business myself. So I do respect what her and her husband did. It was a great move. But I like her. I like her better than Candace Owens, I'll tell you that. And I hope she doesn't partner with Candace Owens, because I wouldn't want that anti-Israel, anti-Semitism to blow back on her. But I'm probably not going to talk about that on the air because the radio listeners don't care about Brett Cooper. But you guys might watch her or follow. But what I'm going to lead with today at 6 is that Doge interview with the Doge team and Elon Musk with Bret Baier. I was just so impressed and blown away by that. And it was an amazing interview that I hope everybody has gotten a chance to watch. I watched the whole thing, and when it was over, I was like, oh, that's it? It was, and I looked at the clock. It was like 7. It was like a whole hour. I was in shock. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Brett Cooper doing that. That's awesome. And I don't blame her. She did the right thing. The world's turning on him. I talk, here on YouTube in the chat, we have people from around the world all the time that say, oh, the world's turning on Trump, or Europe thinks this, or, and this is what I tell people. Okay. And this is true. We Americans do not give a shit what the rest of the world thinks about us. And that's hard for people around the world to understand, but we don't care. We care what we think about our own country. We just don't care what Europe thinks, Canada thinks, Asia thinks, Australia thinks, anyone thinks. Why should we? We're number one. We don't need you. You need us. And I know that's a hard concept for people around the world to understand, but it's true. It's true. I'm sitting in my driveway. In a few minutes, I'll head off to the coffee shop. Well, it's not that we don't, our own country has a lot of problems. And there's a lot of things in this country that just aren't right. Not only are we overtaxed by, every American's overtaxed, more so than we even want to deal with. But a lot of things in this country are not at the quality that they should be in. Our roads are crap in this country. They're total crap in this country. Our airports are embarrassments in our major cities. And there's a lot of other problems too. But the reason that our roads are such garbage, our airports are an embarrassment, is because our government's a scam, right? We're funding the world. They have all this waste and corruption in the government so that people inside the government can steal from the national treasury. And this country could be 1,000 times more advanced and in better shape if we just had accountability and no corruption in Washington and spent money here and focused in on us. And and Americans are pissed about that. We shouldn't be sending any money overseas. This started after World War II with the Marshall Plan. Well, it's not selfish. I mean, you got, like, I just think about it. I mean, most of you are up for the same reason I'm up right now. I got to make a living. I'm up early, right? And I'm lucky that I have a great career. But how many of you are up early to go to work or coming home from work or at work right now? And I know a lot of people don't like this, that are trolls. They'll call me, names, but I'm a broadcaster for a living. So whether I'm talking on the radio, on my podcast, or here on YouTube, I do this for a living. And I'm up early because I got to make a living to support myself and my family. And the money I make is to support me and my family, not the guy next door. The guy next door to me, I'm in my driveway. The guy next door to me right here, the guy next door to me here, this guy back here. It's not my responsibility to help take care of him and his family. Just me and my family, just like you. Do you pay your neighbor's bills? You pay your next door neighbor's bills? No. And the United States has been paying the bills of the rest of the country. I mean, look at this asshole in Canada, Ford, this premier. It's going to make life difficult for us. Go fuck yourself, okay? For lack of a better word. Screw Canada. That yesterday they got this new prime minister, Connie, perfect name, Connie, con man. This Connie, he's like, well, we're going to look to France and England now, not the United States. Canada has never been with us, okay? When the great 13 colonies left England and formed the United States, okay, Canada was a British colony too. They didn't join the revolution. They were loyalists. They fought with the king against freedom, against democracy, against us, against independence. So Canada has never been with this country. They've been sucking off us, stealing from us, and being on our coattails for years. So it's not new that they're aligned with France and England. They always have been. The people in Quebec think they're French. We get a lot of Canadians in Florida. You know what? Floridians don't like, here in Florida, a lot of Canadians come to Florida, right, during the winter. Floridians don't mind the regular Canadians, but no one likes the French Canadians. The French Canadians are arrogant assholes. They think they're better than everyone else. French people in general are that way. The French think they're a race, okay? The French need to worry about Gerard Depardieu and convict that guy. But Canada's never been with the United States. They've been with England and France all along. This is not new. They're just showing their true allegiances now. And, I'll tell you this about Canada. Last night in that Doge interview, Elon Musk said, he said, I learned this at PayPal. The voices that complain the most, that are the most outraged, are the fraudsters. He said the outrage is a tell. So look how they're acting in Canada. Ford and Connie, fraudsters. Red coat bootlickers. That's right, JP. And now the left have this narrative that the Canadians, like Joy Reid was talking about this last week, and I've seen that the Canadians beat the United States in the War of 1812. First off, it wasn't a war against Canada. Canada wasn't even a country yet. They didn't even fight. They weren't even their own Commonwealth nation till what, the 20s, which they didn't even fight for. We didn't fight Canada in the War of 1812. We fought England again, and we beat them again, okay, twice. We beat England twice, the American Revolution and the War of 1812, okay? But Canada's never been our friend, guys. Never. All right, off we go. Starbucks opens in 15 minutes, but I'll be there before they open still. It's really close. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name's Brian Craig, Dark Matter of my YouTube channel. That'd be awesome. Become a Patreon supporter. There's a link to that in the description. If you become a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of my podcast. That would be awesome. Or you can go to mypillow.com and use my promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. Save big money. Free shipping on orders over $75 and get the best night's sleep you've ever had in your life for the rest of your life. So there's all kinds of ways to support my content. Appreciate it if you do it. If you become a member, you get members-only emojis, and your name shows up in a different color in the chat, so it stands out. Oh, man. So, Sunday I leave for the cruise. Now, when I'm on the cruise next week, I will be checking in here on YouTube. I'll do some live streams when I can from the ship. Weather's nice. It's 72 degrees already, and it's only 5:16 a.m. Florida weather's the best. But that Doge interview, I mean, I was just so impressed with those guys. When, you know, I saw them promoting it all day. Okay, Brett Baer, exclusive interview with Elon Musk and the Doge team. And I really was expecting a bunch of young, like, college guys in hoodies like I'm wearing. Not professional Silicon Valley engineers that are millionaires many times over. Some of them. I don't know all of them, but, you know. This guy next to me has his brights on. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to let him get ahead of me. Driving with his blinded me a little bit. And he's right behind somebody. Oh, my goodness. How could you not know your brights are on? I'm going to let him ride in front of me because even next to me, he was blinding me. Holy smokes. It's like burns your eyes. I'm going slower than well below the speed limit to get him ahead of me. Oh, somebody just flicked him with the on and off, but he didn't get it. He could be a drunk coming home from a 5 a.m. bar. I don't know. I don't know if he's a drunk, but he's certainly a jerk. Ugh. No, it was Fox News did good with their coverage yesterday. There's no getting around it. All the problems I have with Fox, yesterday what they did was all right. See, I'm already here. 3-4 minute drive. got a busy day today and tomorrow because that's it. Sunday is cruise day. All right, so we'll wait here for a few minutes for them to open. Well, you know, the thing about these people, I'm glad they're getting these guys. Right? They got that weirdo that torched the dealership. They arrested that fat ass that was in his four-wheel motorcycle or whatever the hell that was that crashed in the Teslas. You know, in America, there's the left have wiped out most taboos in this country. They really have. You know, there are so few taboos now in this country. But one of the taboos is you don't mess with someone's car. And there's a reason for that. The reason there's a taboo about messing with people's cars is because they cost a lot of money, and that's how people get to and from work. Not just on, you know, and it's a big thing. You don't mess with people's cars. You know, even in the days before we had cars in America, there was like nothing worse than a horse thief, right? You know, you take a man's horse, you destroy a man's car, he can't get to work. It's a lot of, you know, it's a lot of hassle and expense, you know, and they're attacking people's private vehicles is like one of the last taboos that the woke left haven't wiped out. It's also against the law. That's right. Insurance, no. Insurance screws you over. You know, like, okay, like this car that I have now, my wife and I bought, this is a new car we bought a couple months back. And we had another Mini Cooper before this, which was it was a pretty cool Mini Cooper. And this fat ass kid, a friend of someone in the neighborhood, sat on the hood of our car and took a selfie for his Instagram wall. And he was so fat he dented the hood. Well, that hood, it was covered by my insurance. I had not made a claim on my insurance in over 20 years, so you know, it was not repairable because it had kind of like you know, like a thing in the hood over the engine. You know, it was even though it was a dent, they couldn't pop it out. The hood had to be replaced. And it was a big dent from this kid's fat ass. And the insurance paid for it. And I got the new hood. And they had to paint it, too. It had to get painted. And I traded it in on this car. And then they tell me, oh, your car's been in an accident. When I go to try, I said, no, it's not been in an accident. And they said, well, that's not the original hood. And I said, I told them what happened. And they said, well, you know, they still have to mark it down because it's not, it cost me money on the trade-in, quite a bit, because it wasn't the factory hood, because this fat-ass kid with this thing. So your insurance might pay to repair your vehicle, but it still costs you money. Pineapple, welcome, welcome, welcome as a member of the channel. Don't forget, you got the members-only emojis. Check those out, and you'll stand out in the chat. Thanks for becoming a member. It cost me money, quite a bit of money on the trade-in. I was so I'd forgotten about it, right, until I traded it in, and I was almost through the deal when they hit it to me, and I almost walked away from the deal. I was so pissed, and so even though your insurance, like somebody said, insurance, you know, your insurance may repair the vehicle, but you still pay for it. And if the vehicle's totaled, you're really screwed. Because, you know, when I get car insurance, like when I bought this car, I always buy gap insurance. Okay? What gap insurance is it's a lifesaver. You got to get the gap insurance. when like say your car's totaled, one of these woke liberal monsters, you've got a Tesla, and they destroy your Tesla because that's what they're doing. They're burning them. They're totaling the car, right? Your insurance company doesn't pay you replacement value of the car. They don't pay you the replacement value so you can go out and get that car again. They pay you the current market value of the vehicle. Okay? And I know a lot of you know this, but some may not. There may be some young people here that don't know. And this could help them a lot in their life. So say this car here, say you got a Tesla, and I don't know how much, let's say the Tesla costs $50,000. A lot of them cost a lot more, but I'll just say $50,000. One of these monsters, or even if it's the Cybertruck, which starts at $100,000, but I'll use $50,000. One of these monsters torches your car, damages your car, totals your car, your Tesla. To go get a new one would be $50,000. Your insurance company doesn't give you $50,000 to get a new car. They give you the current market value of that car. And as soon as you drive off the lot, it goes down the tubes. So, and if you are financed, okay, this is what the gap insurance does. Say you're financed, okay, you buy your new car, it's $50,000. The car gets totaled by one of these liberal jerks. The insurance company says, okay, the market value's $28,000, right? So you are responsible to the finance company for the difference that's owed on the loan. So if you still owe $45,000 on the car, and the insurance company says the market value is only $30,000, you've got to come up with the rest of that money to pay off that loan still. What the gap insurance does is covers that. So whatever the insurance company doesn't pay for, that gap, the gap insurance covers. So if the cars, if you owe $45,000 on the car, the insurance company says the market value is $30,000, the gap insurance pays the other $15,000. Most people don't get gap insurance. Okay? Most people don't pay the gap insurance. Okay? I always get the gap insurance. And it, but most people don't have it. That's how insurance companies make money. So, a lot of these people that are getting their Teslas destroyed, their insurance is not replacing their vehicles. They're screwed, and they're in all kinds of financial problems. Same thing, with these dealers that are getting, Elon said something I did not know. He said people have been shooting bullets into Tesla dealerships. What the hell? But no, so just, their insurance covers it. That is not true. That's not true. People get screwed on the insurance. I don't know what percentage of people have gap insurance and what percentage don't have gap insurance, but most people don't have it. It's not that much, It's like $12, $15 a month, something like that. And you buy it from the dealer when you buy the car. You don't buy it through your main insurance company. So when someone gets their car, their Tesla vandalized by one of these liberal monsters, they're effing them over big time. And it's not like, like in that movie with De Niro, Heat, they steal the guy's bearer bonds and they offer to sell them back to him, and they say, they're insured, so you can, and all that stuff. It doesn't work that way with cars. So no, it's not a victimless crime what they're doing. What these people are doing that are vandalizing these Teslas, they're monsters. Monsters. And I'm glad they're arresting them. They should charge them with hate crimes too. And terrorism charges. Absolutely. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, okay, guys? I'll be live on the air in about 30 minutes or so. Yeah, they're domestic terrorists. They are most definitely domestic terrorists. No doubt about it. You know, I mean, I would not mind getting a Tesla now, but the insurance has got to be going up on them with all this liberal crap that's going on. So on top of it, they're too expensive. They're not cost effective, and you know, the insurance has got to be going up on them, and you could be attacked at any particular time by some liberal moron. You know, I mean, it's, why would you do that? Are you a millionaire? No, I'm not a millionaire. I said I'd like to buy a Tesla. I wanted to get one in the past, but I didn't think so. But now I want to get one to support Elon. You know, but again, I just bought this car not long ago, so it's not a very smart decision for me to go out and buy it. I don't need another new car. I've got this car on my super old car. So, you know. I'd like to support Elon. I mean, what Elon Musk is doing to support us is amazing. Well, listen, guys. Coffee shop just opened up. So I will see you on the next stream in about 30 minutes. Again, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe, all right?